professional name, Tochi. My son Brian Tochi, Wendy. Wendy's under Tochihara. But my real name is Tochihara. I was in Manzanar. Let me start. I was in Manzanar also, and I just discovered my teacher was her mother. I was shocked. And I told Joyce, I liked Mrs. Nakamura. She said, you did? Everybody hated her, especially the guys. But she was really nice. Anyway, when I was in Mrs. Nakamura's phys ed class, Ansel Adams saw me, and he came up to Mrs. Nakamura and said, can I take her picture? And so she says, I don't know, ask her. So he came over and asked me, and he, with a great big smile, a little kid, me with my big smile, I said, of course. So he took several pictures of me. This is the one that's on the wall. And my granddaughter, she looks just like my picture. Stand up, stand up. Stand up, Jenny. Listen, is that funny? I always
Yes.
told her that. I always told her that. Let me start with evacuation. We lived in Culver City. I was born in Culver City, went to grammar school there. That's the one on Sentinel. Anyway, I can't remember. Went to school there. I come from a family of 4 children, mother and father. My father was Japanese. I am not full Japanese. And that brought a problem in Manzanar and before the war. My father married a Mexican lady, and she, I didn't know until just a couple of years ago that she was half American Indian and half Mexican. So now I'm 27.40 American Indian. The other half I'm Mexican, and the other half I'm Japanese. However, comes prejudice. Japanese people, they were very prejudiced when we went to Manzanar. Even before that. My sisters, they were alienated from joining the club in Manzanar because of our race. I mean, they didn't beat us up or anything, but they just excluded us. But I didn't feel it because I was a young girl, just a little kid. But they were older than I, and they took it badly. And so when the pilgrimage started, I would talk to them, let's go to the pilgrimage. Are you kidding? I'll never go back there. So even when they passed, they never went back to Manzanar. But, and I can tell you another story. My father, when he married, his friends here, we lived in Culver City, his friends would invite him to their house. He couldn't bring family because we were Mexican. So my dad wanted to see his friends, so he would go and visit them, and we sat in the car. Mom and the rest of the kids. And I didn't know this until after he passed. My sister told me, my oldest sister, or my youngest of 4. She told me this, I got so mad, I thought, oh my God, I'm gonna raise him from the grave. But that's part of life, right? Anyway, when we went to Manzanar, they bused us. We got to the Japanese school right on Braddock and Sentinel. It's still there. And they picked us up, they put us in buses, all the Japanese, all the families, put us in buses, and when we got on the buses, you got to pull the blinds down because people could see you, and at that time, they didn't want to see any Japanese people, so we pulled the shades down, and then they took us off. I mean, we took off. on the different buses. Went to Manzanar, reached Manzanar. By the time we got there and got our room, assembly room, well, it's not an assembly room, but we got our room, they put us in 24-1. Let me kind of describe to you what Manzanar was like. Manzanar was all barracks. You know how you see army barracks? They're all barracks. We had 12 barracks, 6 on this side lined up, 6 on this side, the latrine in between, the laundry room in between, and the 7th, there were 6, number 7 was our rec room, and the 7th building was our mess hall. Mess hall, we had, Joyce says we had breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I don't remember lunch, but I remember them clang this thing like a cowbell, and they clang it when it's breakfast and when it was time to eat. So everybody would leave, and we'll all line up, big line, all line up, get into the mess hall, and at that time, when we got into the mess hall, everything was a little more organized. But when we first got there on that April 20, 1942, my family, we were all evacuated there. And I remember that dinner that I had there. That dinner was, it was dark, it was cold. Dinner was hot dogs. We had a hot dog, hot rice, veggies, and they served it to us. You know those army metal plates?
Yeah.
That's what they served our food in. And then, if you wanted hot tea, you know the army metal cups? That's what they served. Hot tea. Try drinking hot stuff out of that metal cup. Your lips stick to it. Really. That was my first night in Manzanar. But eventually, they gave us dishes. Dishes were this thick. They were so thick, even if you dropped them on the floor, I think it would crack. But at least they gave us dishes, utensils, that was good. All the barracks were called blocks. Block 1, block 2, like I said, they all consisted of 12 barracks, rec hall, and the mess hall. The barracks were about, they were all divided, just a wall, partition, drywall. The barracks are tar paper, and all you see is, you know how you see the frame? They didn't come with the frame. The tar paper, yeah, that was covered on the outside, but in the frame, inside, you saw framework.
That was only the beginning though.
Yeah. Well, no, even in the end, when we moved to when we first went there, they put us in 24-1-1. Then because we were in 24-1-1, they turned each 1-1 into office blocks, block offices. So we had to move from there. But when we got there, we had to room with 2 other couples. My dad, the 4 of us, my dad, 2 other couples. No partition, nothing. So we all slept together. And like Joyce said, we had springs. I don't remember army cots, but there were springs. And the mattresses were made of canvas covered with filled with straw. Try sleeping on straw. You can hear how can you sleep. But you get used to it. But a little bit about things that happened there, like they assigned somebody as a cook. we call cooks our chefs, right? They were cooks. And they got paid. They were paying jobs. My dad, he signed up as a fireman. He never was a fireman, he was a farmer. He signed up as a fireman, and I think he got $14 or $16 a month. Others, they did all odd jobs, but there were things to do. We went to school every day. They had churches. I lived in block 35, which was at one corner of the camp, and on the opposite corner, up the hill, on the opposite corner was my church. So I would go to church every Tuesday night and every Sunday morning. The hospital was way up on top of the hill. And I used to go visit. It was a far walk. They have fire breaks in between the blocks of these barracks. And I would walk up to the hospital to visit my sister because she contracted pleurisy. So I had to go see her in the hospital. But, they wouldn't let children in. I just waved to her at the window. But we have a good doctor, Dr. Bowen. Life really wasn't difficult. It was easy for me, but it was very difficult for parents and the elders. They had a hard time because they had such, And when they closed the camp, we had nowhere to go. So we were the last ones that they evacuated. And when they evacuated us back to California, here in California, they put us in Burbank, and they put us in a trailer. And yes, they did give us, my father, $25. I don't remember getting $25. I don't even know if my sisters got $25 for money to have. When you get out of camp, you have nothing. What are you going to do? He didn't own property, nothing. So he started from scratch. He was a gardener. He gardened over there. But Burbank they were prejudiced. Burbank didn't want us there. So what they did, they voted us out. Mm-hmm. We were on Hollywood Way and Winona. That's where they had the outdoor theater. Lockheed was across the street from us. Trying to sleep with Lockheed. They moved us out to Roscoe, which is now known as Sun Valley. It's a nicer name than Roscoe. Oh, but I gotta tell you, in Manzanar, let me tell you a little bit about the latrine. You had to go, we didn't have running water, so naturally all we had was that little stove to keep the room warm. And so if you had to go to the latrine, brush your teeth, well, that's where you went to do all that. Let me describe the latrine to you. You walk into this building, women's latrine and men's latrine. You walk into the building, in the door, and on the right side was a trowel, faucets. And there is 3 or 4 faucets coming out. That's where you brush your teeth, wash your face. In front of that was rows of toilets. There were, I think, 4. No partition, open. And there was a short wall. On the other side were 4 more toilets. We used to call them toilets. Now we call them commodes. But my sister calls them thrones. On the left side was a big shower room. All the showers it was public. No privacy, like I said. But eventually, because of all the complaints that the people had about privacy, especially women, you know, what are you going to do? So, you have your period. So eventually, they put up a wall, no door, wall, in between the commodes. I would go to the commode, bare bottom, sitting there, black widows in back of me. And I'm wondering, no, what's that black widow gonna do? It's gonna attack me? Because black widows, we heard, were poisonous. I don't know about now, but we still had black widows. And yeah, we had a lot of scorpions, rattlesnakes. Weather, sandstorms, unbelievable. You ever been in a sandstorm? Hot summer day. That sand would blow hard. And you know, at the time, we didn't wear pants. We had skirts. Everybody wore skirts. They didn't make pants. So, you're walking, here comes a sandstorm. You have to turn your back to the sandstorm because it's prickly. And you could feel it on your legs. So turn around, so you don't want to hit you in the face. So we went through that. Winter, snow. How about going outside your door, going to the latrine in snow? You didn't have snowshoes. Just walk over there. Icicles hanging, snow all over the place. It was cold. Even though I'm not painting a very nice picture, am I? I had fun because I was a little kid. Played with everybody. In the summertime, I tell you this, in the summertime, the men were smart. Japanese people are very inventive. They would dig a hole underneath the barrack where the dirt is nice and shady. They dig a hole. Now it's not a hole. They shaped it out into like a small room, maybe 8 by 10. And then they made benches out of the dirt. So when it got real hot and we couldn't stand it anymore, we would go underneath the barrack and go sit on these little benches and talk and play. And that's how we cooled off. There were some nice people, but you had people like that all over the place. But food was okay. Joyce said she didn't like it. I was just happy to eat. Things were, as time went on, it got better because the men wanted to go fishing, then they were able to sneak out and go fishing, and the guards would let them out. You know, even though they're sentries, they have rifles, and we were told, you leave that fence, you're gonna get shot. And there were a couple of people that got shot. But other than that, we lived in that camp. They had 10 camps throughout the United States when the war broke out. One in Arkansas, Minidoka, Arkansas, that's where her dad was from. My first husband was in Manzanar. I didn't know him then. I was a kid and he was grown. He was 5 years older than me when I married him. They had camps all over the place. People from all the West Coast mainly went to Manzanar. I know people from Seattle went to Minidoka and some went to Manzanar, but we were distributed all over. But it was an interesting time, and you know, today you could intermarry and nobody cares. But at that time it was terrible. You know, you couldn't intermarry. People, because like my brother, he didn't want to go to Manzanar, so he joined the Marines. When the war broke out, he said, Dad, I need your signature for me, because he was 17, he was underage. So in order for him to join, my dad had to sign for him, so my dad signed for him because, you know, he resented so much from going to that camp. So he stayed back, joined the Marines, got hurt, got in battle, got hurt. He was permanently paralyzed. 25% of his right side was paralyzed. They were torpedoed on that ship. So he got injured, and lifetime injury. But he just passed in 2018. I'm the last of the family, the youngest. I'm pretty old, but I was the youngest. Like Joyce, I just met Joyce a few years ago when all the widows and widowers joined this club. Is that when you joined? No. Yeah. I remember going up to Descanso Gardens with you. And then I didn't see you. And then I saw you at the dances. That was, I just wanted to give you a picture of what life was like in the camp. It was good and it wasn't good. But like I said, a kid, I had fun. I made friends. My older sisters did not make, good friends because of my ethnicity, like Mexicans. Anyway, that's my story.
Jane, 2 quick questions as we wrap up. How old were you when you first entered the camp?
10.
You were 10?
Mm-hmm.
And then the second one, did your mother join you?
No, my mother was dead. She died before World War II, so I was motherless. I don't know my mother. When they moved us to the camps, they said, okay, you can't take anything, nothing. Just a suitcase with some of your clothes. So we got a big trunk, and we packed her furs, her pictures, all the family pictures, everything in that trunk. And the Japanese school said we'd take care of it. So they took care of it. When we got out of camp, they lost it.
Wow.
So I didn't have a single picture of my mother. Don't remember her. But my eldest sister, she was like my mother. She took care of me. She had one picture, and so all the kids had this one picture of my mother, and that's the only picture I have of her. That's the only time that I remember her. But like I said, it wasn't all bad, it was good and bad, like everything else. I'm healthy now. I've lived a good life after camp. But I have to tell you something funny. One of my good friends, when we got our reparation money, they gave me, that was Reagan, President Reagan gave us our reparation money. When they gave us our reparation, that was $20,000 per person. That was still alive. My dad was dead, so he didn't get it. But my good friend says, hey Jane, you can't have that 20,000. You only get 10,000 because you're half Japanese.
That's funny.
But, like I said, you live, let live. Life is good, really. It's what you make it. And so after the camp, we had nothing, absolutely nothing. But I'm well off today. So that's good.
Well, thank you so much, Joyce and Jane, for sharing your story, and all of you thank you so much. It's not gonna reach. It's okay. The galleries are still open. We have a small reception. We'll be bringing out some small sandwiches and some fruit. If you have any other questions for Joyce or for Jane, thank you so much for joining us. Please continue to support the Fullerton Museum Center and all the survivors of Manzanar and all the camps and their history. And thank you so much again.
Thank you.